Hey, it's UpNorthGuy. Going to show you how to replace stage 4 of the 6-stage iSpring water filtration system. I did a different video on stages 1, 2, 3, and 6. Those are the ones you're doing every 6 months. Stage 4 is a special one. You only do it every 2 to 3 years. It's a reverse osmosis filter. And I'll show you how to replace that here in the system. For stage 4, we're going to get set up the same way we did the other stages. So clear out your base of your sink here, put a towel down because we're going to have some drippage coming off of this. Stage 4 is this one right in here. It's got its own tube, so it's going to be different than the other stages on this one. And then to prep, we're going to do the same thing we did before as well. So I want to shut off the water line. Just turn that a quarter turn. That's the main water supply. Then also turn off the valve to the tank. And then come up here and then bleed water out of your system and then just leave that open. So now we're ready to go work on the system down here. So first thing we do is get to stage 4. This is stage 5 I'm pulling out there. There's 6. Just got to kind of get these out of the way here without having these lines come off. That'll get into this tube where stage 4 is here. Now this thing itself will come up out of there like so. So in this one you have a little special wrench here. This is a smaller wrench than the one that goes on these tubes. When I took these tubes off before, there's a bigger wrench for that. This one just works on the end of this stage 4 here. So to get at it, you have to take this tube off the end here. I like to use a pair of needle nose pliers so you can pull this clip off quite easily, and then you want to press down and then that'll release the tube here as well. So I want to remember which side is which. So what I've got here is the right side is going to go to that top controller. The left side is going to go in behind it there. That'll come out. And then I'll do the same thing with the other one. Push. And that'll come out. So this is left side. And this is right side. It goes into this controller right there. Now I've got this thing out. It's going to be a little bit easier to work with. There it goes. Okay, so that was quite a job to get this thing off. That was super tight on there. That takes definitely some strength to get that part off. And once you get it off, the inside's just going to unscrew like that. There's a little O-ring in there. Just want to make sure that thing is seated back at the base like that. There it goes. Okay, so that was a bit of a push. It came out like this. You can see it's got this rubber seal side here, and then the other side has got the two little gaskets on it right there. It's going to go back in the same way. So I'm just going to wipe this out with a towel so we get the worst of that out of there. You can see there's sediment on the inside there, a little bit of dirt. It's coming out. It's about as clean as I'm going to get it. Okay, so that's out. And now I'm going to put the new filter in, same way the other one went out. This has got a little hole there at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that there, but that's where this end here is going to stick into. So I'm going to drop this back in here all the way. That'll seat down on there. That looks pretty good. pretty straight. You can see, again, old and new there. This thing is doing its job. It's going to have some sediment in there. So that gets seeded all the way down there. So that wasn't quite all the way in. So the top of this part is kind of flush with the end cap there. Oops. I just lost this little O-ring. I'm going to make sure you put that O-ring back on. That thing is seated on there so this won't leak. There, so the O-ring is on there, and this just screws back on. I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm just going to tighten this a little bit with the wrench. I'm going to get it really good and snug on there. So I'm done with that. Alright, so now I'm going to replace these lines back in here where I took them out before. So as you recall, we had the one line here that's got a little mark on there, you can see. So I'm going to push this all the way in. You can kind of feel it seat in there, and then what holds it in are these little clips. Okay, my needle nose pliers here again. I'm going to grab one of these little blue clips, stick it in between there. Now that will hold in there. So the blue clip is in there. This white ring is just propped up. That's what's going to hold that in like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with these two lines. Snaps back in, so I got 6, 5, and 4 all set in there. Everything is good to go. And you know, just to see that it works, you just want to make sure you got kind of a dry area. So I'm going to flip this towel around so I can detect and sort of wipe down the walls here so I can detect if anything is going to be leaking. Just wipe that up because I want to see around any of these joints that I replaced. The ones in the front, they'll be easier to see. The one in the back is going to be a little harder, but then at least I'll know if this is leaking or not. So, turn back on the main water, and then we'll turn on the tank. That'll start rolling up there, which is good. And then I'm just feeling around these connection points. It's where, well, you can see it's not working. So that's leaking. I gotta shut things off right away. There, you can see it's the seal. All right. I didn't get this sealed down tight enough here. Probably that O-ring didn't get seated correctly, so I'm gonna go back in and do that. So here's why. This little O-ring broke. Okay, so your replacement or your iSpring kit should have extra O-rings. Now is the time to use one. Different ones. And this should be with your kit. This happens. This does not happen very often, but there is the same size O-ring that you've got right there. And I'm just going to slip that new one inside there. Should do it. With this, and let's go see if that did it. Alright, so I turned this back on. Turned on the water up there, tank is open, water line is open here. You can see that this O-ring had to get seated all the way in there. That was a little tricky that time to do that, but it did work. I put it actually on this part first, put it on the tube part, and then screwed this in rather than setting the O-ring in there. just like to do one final check once everything is back in place. Turn this back on. Turn this on. We'll run it through the top here. Just make sure I don't see any final leaks here. Checking all of these connections. Those two I reconnected there. That one's in the back. Just let this run for a minute or so. Make sure you don't see any dripping anywhere. Then done. That was a bit of a bear to get that one out. Every 2 to 3 years they recommend, depending on how much your system is used. Up north here, I get a ton of sediment and dirt in here. I'll show you this kind of comparison right here of how much this system filters out in 6 months. So they say 2 to 3 years. I'm going to do it every 2 years because the system is really pulling out a lot of dirt. All right, so that's it for this one. May the fourth stage be with you. Hey, if you like the video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, share it out, drop a comment in there. Again, I'm no plumber, but I figured out how to do this. You can do it too. Check out my channel, UpNorthGuy, for more videos about how-tos, product reviews, life and living up here in beautiful northern Michigan.